Hola, I'm Nikki with 11th House Publishing, and this is another installment of Astrology versus Psychology, where we do a deep dive through the DSM-5 and see how the two disciplines can work together or maybe butt heads. And today we're going to be diving into insomnia.
Okay.
So the sleepy or not so sleepy realm of insomnia. There are many, many different causes for it, as you might imagine, but some that we can kind of begin to narrow down and maybe get some help for the people that are suffering from this. I suffer from it. Sarah Castaneda
Yes. Castaneda. Yeah.
is joining us. Say hello, Sarah.
Hello.
And what do you do? Like, you are the author of?
I am a poet, and my book, Underdog Bet, is a book of poetry. It's coming out in 2025. I would say February. Because I sent my 7th edit back. And I'm done picking at it. So I'm good. I will now just approve it instead of keep redoing it. And then I do fantastic ekphrastic on this hub, and that's what I do. And essay writing. Yeah. So
many writings. Yes, and writing and Mercury, as we've looked at in previous installments of this, keeps the brain going, right? And that can be put off for insomnia. You're saying it's something that you struggle with, especially with a book coming out, right?
Yeah.
All that goes into that, you know.
Yeah.
Write it and put it out there, and maybe some people do, but I've yet to really meet very many of them that don't really dive in there. So it is a big endeavor, and congratulations on getting, up that hill to this point.
Yeah. Now on to the next one, which you have, your book. So, you're going, oh my God.
The Bittersweet Empathy series. I don't often bring that up, but yes, I do have 2 books out. And you can find them. I'll put a link below for anybody who's interested. They're a horror series. So
yeah.
But written in a kind of poetic fashion. Like, I really have fun with prose. So I've got the heart of a poet in me as well. I just love words.
They're really fascinating. I've already gone on and linked up to those. So I've got my stuff on my way.
I've got my Venus is in Gemini, and Gemini is the communicator. So like Venus is what we love. So I'm like, oh, I love words. That explains it. Like a word. I cling to my thesaurus, Like, use a better word, as long as it doesn't impede flow.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Or it's not a word that doesn't sound like because sometimes you find really cool words, but then it sticks out.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't just stick it in there.
Go with the tone.
No, every now and again you can.
Yeah.
You do what you want. Because sometimes I'm like, you know what? If they don't know what it means, they can look it up.
Well, but if it doesn't go with the tone of like the character, or like if it doesn't sound like the person you're writing about, like if it's some cool words you found and you're like, I want to use it, and then you're like, well, that doesn't sound like that.
It's a perfectly cromulent word.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Mercury deals with our communication, our writing, the higher mind, the monkey mind that doesn't quite ever want to shut off. It's always thinking, always doing. Mercury zips around the planet super quick, 80 days. And so anything that's happening with it, and if it's afflicted with something, can definitely cause it to kind of go haywire. Mm-hmm. Same thing goes with the higher octave of Uranus. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. And so stuff going on with it can kind of keep the nervous system, as we, again, have discussed with the neurodivergents, who often suffer from insomnia. So two go hand in hand. It's hard to shut the system down. It's like taking a laptop and you close it and the thing doesn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
You see it glowing under there or whatever. That's kind of what it can feel like. So knowing this and the electricity involved in whatever, you can maybe start to do things like grounding, or just keeping your electronics away from you as you sleep.
Yeah.
I went through this with my phone for a little while. There was a little bit of time when I was using it as my alarm, and it was too close to my head, and I just could not sleep. And then I moved it, and I was able to sleep. Not great because I do have insomnia, but better than I had been. So
Yeah.
it's something to keep in mind. And then also the moon. So the moon is your lower mind, your intuitive mind. So if it's always worrying, it can also be kind of in the background, thinking of all the things as well. It's that Cancer mother energy of, oh my goodness, gotta make sure we have everything taken care of and everybody's looked after and the house is running, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So if that is kind of put upon both in the natal chart,
Hmm.
um, there can be an affliction in that, and then also by transit. So it can happen that somebody doesn't suffer from insomnia until there's a certain event that hits their moon or their Mercury. It may be like a slower moving planet like Pluto sits on your Mercury for a couple of years. You're very close to, that's going to affect you. You're going to have much more deep thoughts, darker thoughts than maybe you're used to. And they'll be like, oh my God, what's going on? Well, it's Pluto. It's bringing up subconscious stuff to the surface. And in the mythologies, it was Mercury who was able to go down to the underworld, right?
Yeah.
There's that correlation there too, where it's like, well, maybe there's. So if you know stuff like that going on in astrology, you can work with it and maybe get a more peaceful sleep instead of wondering, oh, where are these thoughts coming from all of a sudden? Well, here's what it's asking of you, and the higher octave is to get control of these things and work with them, work with your shadow side, as it were, in the case of Pluto and Mercury. So that's kind of what I expected to see going into. I do have a couple of celebrity charts.
Okay.
So no, from my own chart, I have both Saturn and Jupiter conjunct my moon in Virgo. Virgo think. It's the sign of thinking, overanalyzing,
Yeah.
OCD, neurodivergence, all this stuff. And so to have Saturn and Jupiter there, it's like the angel and the devil on the shoulder, constantly chittering back and forth. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? No.
Yeah.
It's a mind that's very hard to shut off. I often have to take melatonin just to get to sleep, and that only works for a little while. And
Yeah.
so it's been a problem my whole life, dealing with and struggling with this. And it does depend on how much stuff I have on my plate,
Hmm.
which when you are neurodivergent, you tend to take on a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely go hand in hand there too. So when I've cleaned off my slate or maybe skidded into burnout sufficiently, if I give myself time, I find my insomnia gets better. So looking at it as a warning sign, maybe they're taking on too much, right?
Yeah.
Could be helpful. And I should take this advice myself.
We always give great advice. It's just sometimes us taking our own is always difficult. It's like, gosh, I give good advice, but I never take it ever. But I mean, it's interesting. You know what? I find sometimes when I've taken on so much and I feel so spread out, sometimes I go one of two ways. I can't sleep because, like you said, I can't shut off. It just keeps spinning in my mind. And that's when breathing comes in. Like I have to meditate because I concentrate on my breath and I just have to concentrate on something of my body or like tangible things like how does this like touching or senses or something like that. Or I'm paralyzed in the sense that I don't know what to do because it's all staring at me and I don't know which point to start at. So
Yeah.
then I just feel like I can't start anything or keep going with something because I can't pick which one I even want to focus on because there's so many that I'll start in on something and then I'll be like, oh wait, I should do that one too. And then it becomes overwhelming and then I find myself, I don't know what to do. I don't know if that happens to you.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
it's an overload of information. It's almost like the system freezes
Yeah.
the reboot. And so if you do manage to get to sleep, like the next day, things might be working a little bit better and it looks different. But
Yeah.
it's definitely almost a way for your body to be like, all right, knock it off.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. That's one. Well, I
Yeah.
can't go to sleep. It's a
Right.
catch-22. It really is.
Yeah.
But I think it comes again from that nervous system being on edge, that every task is so important. And our kind of animalistic selves don't realize that it doesn't, that there's no threat to our physical selves. So back in the day, insomnia had the function of, well, no, if there's wolves surrounding you, going to sleep is probably not the best plan.
Right.
So if you're getting stimulated by like all kinds of weird noises or whatever,
Yeah.
there's probably a reason for it, and we need to stay up. And
Yeah.
then you'll get the adrenaline kicking in or whatever. What happens with our society is the adrenaline never stops. And we're always going, always worrying about the next thing, always expected to go, 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 go until go skidding, and burn.
Yeah.
Um, so it's recognizing that it's a signal from your body to do that deep breathing, perhaps, settle, take that day for yourself, take those moments for yourself. In terms of Virgo, the opposite side of Virgo is Pisces. And Pisces is all about rest and relaxation, meditation. The Virgo energy and the Mercury energy has a hard time tapping into that. It's the opposite of it. It's like, I don't, no, I have to go. I have to go, 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 go. And Neptune is like the furthest planet out, taking its time, it's taking that longer term view. And so it's integrating the two of them together.
Yeah.
So people with their Mercuries in Pisces can often have a hard time with this as well. So just kind of trying to balance the two together. So yeah, definitely not alone by any means. In fact, it's got to be like up there in terms of the number. It's probably like the number 3 or something. Most prescribed medication or over-the-counter medication is some sort of sleep aid.
Oh, sure.
And that's a reflection of our society always wanting more, 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 expecting
Yeah.
more from everybody. So, and we can stop that at any time. I think that's part of the conversations that we're starting to have more and more. Like, what kind of a world do we want to live in?
Yeah.
Do we have to be
What?
stuck in some
Yeah.
paradigm that, isn't even 100 years old if you think about it? That you have to work this 40-hour work week, and that's become 60 hours, that's become 80 hours, It's like
Yeah.
it's judged by how much you produce, so it's not working for a lot of people. And so we're here as part of that revolution to change people's thoughts on these things, that they're not disorders. Insomnia isn't a disorder except for how it disrupts the system. The system doesn't like it if you're so overwhelmed that you can't sleep and be efficient. It wants you to be a machine.
Yeah.
Whereas really we ebb and flow, especially as women.
Yeah.
We do not function on that go, go, go. Like, we are cyclical with the moon. We
Yeah.
need that grace.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, I'm going to share my screen. So here's my screen with the insomnia disorder as per the DSM-5. And I don't need to go into every bit of it, but it's, Predominant complaint of dissatisfaction with sleep quantity or quality associated with one or more of the following. Difficulty initiating sleep. In children, this can be difficulty without caregiver intervention. And I don't even know what the heck that means. Like, what does that mean, that your mom can't be in the room with you? Like, so if a kid needs their mother, is this now considered a disorder? I question stuff like that.
That's, yeah.
What do you mean without caregiver intervention for a child? Especially when, like, as a species,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be like sleeping all in one big lump. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
The-
weird.
And they have taken that and been like, oh, well, if the kid can't get to sleep without you in there, I mean, that's a little off to me, personally.
Yeah. That's an odd one.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of questioning the DSM-5 as we go through, because sometimes I'm like, are you disordering something that's perfectly natural?
I don't have children, but I do have animals, and a lot of them all like to get on the bed when I sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say I do have a daughter, and like there did come a point in time when I couldn't sleep in the same bed with her without her like foot being shoved up my nose.
Yeah.
She rolled around.
Getting beat up or something accidentally in the middle of the night or something.
But I always, like, I would stay with her until she fell asleep, and if she woke up in the middle of the night, I was there until she fell back asleep again.
Yeah.
To me, it's just natural mothering. Like, it's just what you do.
My
So
mom did that for me.
yeah, and it makes people more safe feeling. Like, I
Yeah.
have a society of really disconnected and I'm not sure what the word is for it, but like people that weren't given enough nurturing, and you see it
Yeah.
in their behavior, like they're cold and disconnected and don't think that they need anybody because they had no choice but to rely on themselves. Their caregiver didn't come in there when they called.
Mm-hmm.
You see this less now, but it used to be like the norm of just let the kid cry it out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
no, the child needs to learn that their mother is there for them or their primary caregiver is there for them. They can learn about the world being cruel and whatever from someone else. But it
They
ain't.
have a lot. Yeah, they got a lot of time to learn about that and a lot of places to learn it. So,
Difficulty maintaining sleep characterized by frequent waking and problems returning to sleep afterwards. In children, again, maybe difficulty with the caregiver intervention. And that's the worst too. Like sometimes I'll take my melatonin and it will knock me out, but for like a half hour.
yeah, I have a big thing of like I will always wake up at like I can go to bed at midnight and wake up at 3 o'clock, and then I'm up until about 5:30, and then I'm ready to go to bed again.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, I mean, this really kind of screws me up, but it's really annoying. But somehow that's how my clock is scheduled or something.
Yeah, it's like our internal clocks get a little off. I will say that there was a point in time, there's several months in my life where like happenstance happened that I was able to like sleep when I wanted. Like I had
Uh-huh.
nothing outside of me that I had to worry about.
Oh, that's nice.
And well, I was very sick, so
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
it wasn't. It's a long story. It wasn't a picnic either.
I thought you were just like, I didn't have anything to worry about. So I,
Story about it. But I was able to kind of go on my own rhythm. I didn't have an alarm, right? I didn't have places that I had to be at a certain time. So, and I didn't have my daughter, then didn't have anybody that I had to take care of outside of my pets. And so I was just able to do what came naturally. And I went to a 26-hour clock, not 24. I went to a 26-hour.
oh my
I
God.
would sleep for like 10 hours and be up for 16.
Oh my God.
And this just, as you can imagine, topsy-turvy all over the place, you know. So I made note of that. I was like, that's really interesting. That's 2 hours difference. So,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of this sort of haywire nervous system energy, this electrical um, living situation. I almost feel like I have electricity flowing through me at any given time, you know.
Mm.
So
Did you find it hard to go back to like a regular 24-hour day type of thing?
yeah, I still don't sleep very regularly. I'm all over the place.
I am too.
I and if I have to get up for like a certain thing,
Hmm.
um, or be somewhere at a certain time or whatever, it is hard depending on, you know, what my
Yeah.
schedule has been like just the day before. I have no idea. Like, and then people would be like, "Oh, well, you know, I'll be getting up normally later in the afternoon, and then I'll have a 9 o'clock in the morning meeting somewhere." You know, and it's like yesterday I went to bed at like 7 in the morning. You know,
Yeah. I've
so
done that a lot too, where I'll just stay up and write or something. I'll go to bed at like 7:30 in the morning.
it's quiet. It's the writer's time.
I do like that when I'm really, really working hard and I know it's going to be tough. I like to work at night more. It's just quiet.
Mhm.
And that's when I enjoy it. And then I do get screwed up. My time schedule to go back to anything normal takes a while. I don't think I've ever been on normal hours except when I've had jobs where I've had to have a normal schedule.
Yeah. And so it makes sense with like the Mercury or even the moon, like being more hyper alert. Although Mercury is more your perception. So if you're listening for all of the things going on and you're kind of hyper attuned,
Yeah.
then nighttime when it shuts down a little bit more, it's less input. You're not getting the cars coming past as much, or the people talking, or the dogs barking, you know, whatever it might be that can like really pull you out of
Hmm.
your focus. You know,
Yeah.
and again, for a reason, because if you're doing night watch, which I believe some of us are more designed to do than others,
Yeah.
night watch over the sleeping people in your tribe, then you want to be vigilant to every wolf howl, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it's a strength in some ways,
Hmm.
but hard to integrate into a box in
Yeah.
this very rigid, weird world that we have found ourselves in.
Yeah.
So the sleep disturbance causes clinically significant distress and impairment to social, occupational, educational, academic, behavioral, or other important areas of functioning. It's 3 times a week, present for at least 3 months. Uh, Sleep difficulty occurs despite adequate opportunity for sleep. Well, there is that. I feel like a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah. That's true.
Not better explained by like narcolepsy or breathing disorder, you know,
Yeah.
or medications or coexisting mental disorders. So, although again, I know that insomnia often goes hand in hand with neurodivergency.
Hmm.
So, didn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look
Oh,
at we've got Rihanna's chart. Can you see this?
yeah.
Okay, so this is Rihanna's natal chart, and I just was kind of looking at the fact that she's got her moon with Venus and her ascendant here. So the
Okay.
ascendant is the physical self and is in Aries. So Aries is an energy that just wants to go, doesn't want to think, and wants to just go and worry about the consequences later. It's very fiery.
Okay.
And so her moon is there, not wanting to worry about things, but at the same time, Venus is right there, like 12 degrees and 11. They're like hanging out. And Venus is all about like, wait. Did
Oh,
that thing that we said or did upset someone? Uh-oh. So
uh,
she's spreading. So this is, I could see this being somebody who said or did the thing and then worries about it all night.
Afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Then overthinks it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very much partially, at least. And then she's also got her Mercury in Aquarius, which is neurodivergent. A neurodivergent sign. It's the sign that doesn't really shut off its thinking. All of the air signs are the thinkers. So you put Mercury there, and it's gonna just be making all the puzzle pieces, connecting all the dots, running here, there, and everywhere. On top of that worry.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then she's also got the higher octave Uranus that I talked about, the higher octave of Mercury with Saturn and Mars here. So it's very busy. So Saturn and Mars conjunction on its own is like having the gas and the brake both full board down. It's like out, and then you put the Uranian energy in the middle of that, and it's just this electrical explosion of energy, right? Wanting to do and then being restricted, wanting to go and be your own self. And so it can kind of, I bet, get very chaotic. Like she feels pulled to do all these things, but then is worried about her image. you know, and you can kind of see that. I don't know a whole lot about Rihanna, but she's very fiery. That's probably energy, right?
Well, that's interesting. I have to get you to read my chart. I have to talk to you about that.
Yes, for those who don't know, I do offer.
Yeah, she does.
So contact me. I believe. Well, I'll put it in the link below. I have phoenixrose.net is my professional astrology site. I have like 10 years experience doing this thing. So this thing.
It's good. It's hard to find people who are like you. I mean, who are really like that are intense like this. I mean, you can get anyone sort of. I mean, that digs so deep as this because there's so many different signs and the time and the date and all that kind of stuff that you have to put in.
Yeah, it can get complicated. I try to simplify it and then teach the person.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the approach I take with all my Virgo. Virgo.
Well, I like that. I wouldn't want it to be so overcomplicated that I'm like, I got this. It's really cool, and I don't really know what it means, but look at it.
Or how does it practically help me, right? That's kind of what this series with the DSM-5 is. It's like, okay, it's all great, but what can we learn from it?
Right.
So in Rihanna's case, understanding these energies, she can maybe work on balancing her people-pleasing tendencies, which is Venus, or can be in the negative. With her non-Venus in the positive is the goddess. This is the goddess of beauty and love, and it's right there on her ascendant. You can see she's gorgeous. Oh my God, right? So and just working within those energies, knowing that she has them there, she cares so much. It's she's got quite a chart. We'll say that.
It looks really bold.
Yes, lots going on. All right, and then we got J-Lo, and she again has this Uranian and Jupiter together. They're right together, so that's blowing up this electricity energy that can just run through the self, and in this case, it's in her physical self. So always going, always feeling like she's plugged in, almost is what this feels like. And then also her Mercury is here with Lilith and the Sun. So Lilith is she's kind of the dark side of the moon. So it deals with more of the worrying energy on one level, or the rumination. She can get into that on the lower end. And then the Sun is our inner child, our nuclear furnace, our soul. So Mercury with it, it's just adding to that energy of busyness. Like the more stuff you have with Mercury, the more it has to filter. Another program, It's like another tab is now running, or in the case of another planet sitting with it, it's like having an entirely other program running. You got Photoshop running, this
Oh, wow.
monstrous beast taking up all this RAM space, and so
Oh,
it,
wow.
it's adding more busyness with this.
Mhm.
So, and then she's
That's
also,
interesting.
the moon is with Neptune down here, which can help kind of calm that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it a little easier to tap into the meditative aspects.
Okay.
I don't know too much about J-Lo, but I do believe she's more into that kind of stuff. So, and then Jennifer Aniston, same thing. I mean, she's got that same very close conjunction. These are slower moving planets, so they must have been born very close to each other,
Hmm.
2 days of each other. I would imagine.
Okay. Yeah, they look kind of similar. I mean, just looking at the chart.
Yeah. So, and in her case, also, she's got her moon. It's hard to see because all these lines are here. So the lines are just talking to each other in various ways. It's like a telephone line.
Okay.
Red is a staticky connection. Blue is a clear one.
Oh, okay.
The way to look at it. And she's got Pluto here as well, talking kind of in a staticky connection with her moon. So that's that rumination, that obsession, that worry, that deep worry of a mother, right?
Okay.
Kind of thing. It goes a little deeper than just the monkey mind thinking of all the things that you have to do. This is like, oh no, dread. It's a little
Okay.
bit different of a cause for insomnia, right?
Oh, interesting.
Or like having shadow aspects kind of come up a little bit more. And this can happen and be kicked up during transits.
Oh, okay.
If you've got Mercury going over her moon, which it is this month, she might have a couple of days where it's harder to sleep. That sort of thing. And George Clooney, just to get a male in here, there was a lot of women when I went looking for celebrities with insomnia. I will say that.
He looks like a little kind of mellow. He doesn't have a bunch of like stuff. Is he mellow or something?
Well, he's a Pisces, so he's got a
Okay.
Pisces ascendant, and that is more mellow.
Okay.
So yes. Pisces ascendant also is kind of like you have a mirror
Mm-hmm.
that you can put up and become whatever anybody wants to see. So it makes
Oh, interesting.
this is great actor energy. Great energy all around. You're a poet, you have some of this.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Somewhere in your chart, you've got heavy Pisces energy. It might not look exactly like this, but it's there. I guarantee it, because it's either the poetry, the words, the creativity, and the imagination. So it's acting, seen from here. Acting can also be seen as a Leo thing if you're like
I'm a Leo.
wanting to be seen and ostentatious,
Mm-hmm.
belting out on Broadway kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's got his moon with Saturn here, and to some degree, it's also conjunct Jupiter. So anything within about 10 degrees of each other, I
Mm-hmm.
think is really, they're the same, they're sitting at the same table.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if they're in the same sign, it's like you're in the same room or
Oh.
house at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Further away you get, like you might be in the kitchen to the living room, but you can still, where the lines are like you're on the phone or on the video,
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
So the moon is busy. It's got a lot going on with it. It's got the angel devil kind of dynamic. It's got Saturn is very hardworking, structured, disciplined. It's the father energy to the moon's mother. So it's a dichotomy and a duality. How do I best nurture this situation? Do I take that cold, teach a man to fish versus give him the fish, stance, and you can worry about that. Like, did I hurt somebody's feelings? Should
Huh.
I care? Is it my responsibility? And so those sorts of ruminations can happen a little bit with this. And then he's also got Mercury conjunct his sun, which is not uncommon, by the way. Again, it goes around every 80 days. So it's conjuncting the sun quite often for all of us.
Oh.
Not everybody has this within that 10 degrees, but it's not unusual either. It's like a third of the population, basically. So they have some degree of overactive mind, if we can put that in quotes, maybe. Because again, humans are curious. That's Mercury. Like, what is this? I want to see. I want to go do. We push the envelope as a species because of this energy. So, but when you take it and you put it in a box and you say you have to do this at this time and be here, it stifles it. It doesn't let it go and be what it needs to. Mercury wants to take apart the thing and look at it and all the different parts and learn with hands-on doing, not regurgitate facts in a test.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, that's what I see, and it seems to have bared out in these charts of these celebrities and myself. And we can take a look at your chart and see what pops up. But what we learn about this too is if you know kind of what's going on with if it's coming from the moon, for example, and you need to quiet that. Well, where is your moon and how best can that be quieted? So for example, with Rihanna, she's got that fiery Aries moon. She might do well to have a fireplace. She probably does. I would imagine she has many. Right? Like being around fire, a candle, that's going to soothe that moon energy because it's fiery. And so like if she's having a hard time kind of relaxing into herself, that's a place to start.
Yeah.
And so knowing the elements that you're working with even can be very, very helpful in this.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add or say, Sarah?
No, I always learn so much in these things. I have to get my chart read. That's my next step.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and we will be back with another look into the DSM-5. I haven't quite picked the next one. Sometimes I do this as I just sort of feel like it. So if I don't see any of you all before then, have a happy holiday and get some sleep.